The honourable member for Bruce-Grey-Owen Sound.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a very simple question through you to the Minister. Same question I've actually been asking the Minister here in the House for almost a year now and in written questions. It's about data and substantiation of how any of these firearms that have been prohibited or the measures taken through Bill C-21 will somehow reduce gun violence in this country. Simple question. The data. Where is the evidence? The Minister mentioned he saw 22 tragic gun violent crimes in the Toronto area last year alone. I'd like him just to provide the statistics. Out of those 22 gun crimes, how many were done with legal firearms? As well, I'd like the Minister to clarify and confirm that he just acknowledged that he's bringing back a long gun registry for those prohibited firearms that they've now prohibited. As well, he mentioned that airsoft and replica firearms that he's now prohibiting as well. Would he acknowledge that replica firearms have been prohibited in this country for a number of years now? And finally, he again mentioned that these firearms that were designed that he has prohibited, these 1,500 firearms plus that were prohibited last year, were designed by the military or for military use. I asked him last year just to name one of them that have been prohibited, that have ever been or is still in use by the Canadian Armed Forces. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's always a bit of a mystery to me how a party that eliminated a registry of and the collection of data as it pertains to firearms and did everything they can to undermine even Stats Canada effort to collect data on this issue now complain that there's no data. And one of the reasons there is insufficient data is because of the actions of the previous government. But, Madam Speaker, let me be very clear on something. We are not introducing a new registry, another gun lobby talking point. But the reality is that in Canadian law and during the entire period of the Conservative government, prohibited weapons in this country must be both licensed and registered, and we are just following the law as it exists. There is no new registry here, but these newly prohibited weapons are now, in fact, in law, prohibited weapons, and therefore will have to be, everyone in possession of them will have to have a license in order to possess that prohibited weapon. And because they are now prohibited weapons, they'll also have to be registered as all prohibited weapons always had to be. And Madam Speaker, let me just talk a little bit about the use of guns. I cited a couple of examples, and I don't disagree with the member that a lot of guns that are used, for example, in gun crime in Toronto are smuggled guns. And in my experience, and over 10 years, I traced the origin of every crime gun in Canada, so I have really good data on that. And about 70% were smuggled across the border, and about 30% were obtained they were either legally owned or they were stolen or criminally diverted. And so we had good data in that city, but it's not consistently collected across the country. We're changing that, Madam Speaker, by the way, by investing in appropriate data collection around this issue.
Hey everyone, it's Alex here. I just want to give a little bit more of an explanation. As you just saw from that video interaction from the first hour debate on Bill C-21, the Minister refuses to answer the questions. I asked him some very simple questions. Where's the data? During his response, you saw, he says there's insufficient data. And later on in his answer, he says he has the data, but yet he doesn't want to provide that data. I asked him to confirm about the long gun registry coming back, and he basically admitted that for all these new firearms that they prohibited, yes, they are, now that they're prohibited, they are registered, so he's bringing her back. He didn't want to answer the rest of the questions. And again, specifically, last summer, I made it simple. He keeps referring to these military-style assault rifles. I said, please, that all these firearms that have been prohibited now are for military use. I gave him the opportunity almost a year ago. Please name one firearm that's now been prohibited that has been or still is in use by the Canadian Armed Forces or any military in the world. And he has yet to do that research, provide that response. So I just look to you. We're going to continue this fight, but I think what lots of Canadians and law-abiding firearms owners could do to help us fight against this ridiculous prohibition is just send a simple letter to the Minister asking him one simple question. Where's the data, Minister? Where's the data that shows that these this firearm legislation and these firearms prohibitions will reduce gun violence in this country? Thank you.